the Collegiate Commissioners Association, which is the group that runs the National Letter of Intent program. This is a lot of letters, a lot of alphabet soup here. But basically, this is the group that runs the NLI program that decides when National Signing Day is. So Pete Thamel from ESPN reports on Wednesday that they're going to move the December signing date, and this has been talked about, but they've decided to do this. They're going to move the December signing date from the third Wednesday in December to the Wednesday after the last regular season game. So in this particular case, it would be December 4th because the last regular season games are November 30th. This is going to make the coaching carousel absolutely wild. Now, the original thought as they discussed this was that they were going to have another signing day in the summer. They had talked about August. They kind of settled on June. They're still not sure they want to do the June one yet, and they don't really want to start the June one this year if they're going to do it at all. So they're going to talk about it when they meet in June of this year about doing it for next year. So that doesn't really change much. And if they do it next year, it makes that coaching carousel situation less wild next year. But this year, it's going to be crazy. And here's why. You got to think about the timing of this stuff. So I'll give you an example from last year. Mike Elko, Texas A&M's new head coach, he was hired on November 27th. Remember all that stuff that went down on the last day of the regular season where it looked like Mark Stoops might get the job, and then it shifted as the night went on, and they wind up hiring Mike Elko. He's there the next day. So like Saturday is the end of the season. Sunday, he's there. Duke didn't hire a head coach, didn't hire Manny Diaz till December 7th. So here's the timing of this. If you fire your coach and you hire a new one, let's say you fire your coach in season and then you hire a new coach, that person probably starts on the last day of the regular season or the following day, that Sunday. So you're going to have basically 3 days to get that signing class together before National Signing Day. But that's not even the real problem, because that's a situation where you fired your coach. You're probably not happy with where the program's at anyways. You're going to probably take a lot of transfers in this class. You understand you're going to have a new coach. You were planning on having a bridge class anyway. So that's not as big a deal. Plus, you still have some time. You have like 3 days. For the next school, though, it's a problem. Because think about this. Why did Mike Elko get hired from Duke? Because he was doing a good job at Duke. Duke was doing well. Duke was outperforming its normal expectations. And no coach goes into a situation going, well, I'm going to get another job at the end of this season, so I'm not going to recruit. No, you're recruiting as if you're going to be there the following year. So you're going to have a full class. So you're going to lose your coach. You're going to have a full class. And then you're going to have no coach on National Signing Day, which means you're not going to get much of a class unless, obviously, you turn around and hire somebody in 24 hours. So it is going to be a wild coaching carousel. First of all, if there's a coach who starts the season on shaky ground and loses some games, that person's not making it to Halloween. That school's going to want to fire that coach, going to want to get in line, make sure they have the option to get more, get more candidates, have a broader candidate pool. But they're probably going to hire a coach who's winning right now, who's doing very well. That's the school that's going to really get screwed by this. And there will be a few. Because they're bopping along thinking, we got a good coach. We're doing great. And all of a sudden, now they have no coach. Now it's signing day, and they still have no coach. Now, perhaps the way college football has changed, it blunts the impact of this. Because usually when a coach takes over, you are dealing with a lot of transfer portal guys. You're going to take a lot of transfer portal guys because you do want to kind of reshape the roster in the way you want it to look, and you want to be able to plug those guys in pretty quickly. It also may be that just because you have a class signed doesn't necessarily mean that anybody's too broken up about it. We're going to hear from Jed Fish on Friday's show, the new Washington coach. If you look at the situation with who Kalen DeBoer had signed at Washington, because remember, they'd already signed a class, and who Arizona had signed under Jedd Fisch, well, some of the guys Kalen DeBoer signed at Washington wound up with Kalen DeBoer at Alabama. Some of the guys that Jedd Fisch signed at Arizona wound up with Jedd Fisch at Washington. I don't think we're as precious about letting people out of the national letter of intent. Most schools are like, okay, we'll let you out. The coach you thought you were signing with is gone. But I'm still not sure how much of the math the Football Oversight Committee, the College Commissioners Association did on this. I know they think this is going to make coaches' jobs easier. I think it will make it a little easier because they will get the signing class signed before the transfer portal window opens. And that is a big deal. But if you are planning to fire your coach, if you are worried you might lose your coach to a school that just fired its coach, your November, December are going to be very, very interesting and probably not in a great way. Now, perhaps this is the only year that happens. They're going to talk about a June signing day. I think a summer signing day would be helpful. I don't know that June is necessarily the right month for that, but that way you've got classes signed, you've got this stuff figured out. Collectives, or well, we don't even know if collectives will be handling all this stuff in the next few years. It may be athletic departments are handling all the NIL stuff anyway, but those deals may be worked out already. And players may decide, I like my deal. I like this school. This is where I want to go. It doesn't matter who coaches. And that would be fine. All of that stuff could be communicated and worked out. But if we're still kind of clinging to a little bit of the remnants of the old system, it is going to be bonkers, this coaching carousel with this particular signing date. So strap in. We talked about how entertaining the 2024 season is going to be. And it's in all ways, it's going to be crazy. King Epic in the chat, they really need a better organizational structure for college football. Something like the NFL would really help reduce some of the organizational chaos. Here's the problem. You got fans who say, oh, it can't look like the NFL or I won't watch, which is not true. You would, because lots more people watch the NFL than college football. But I do agree. You talk about a centralized governing structure. That's exactly right. That is not as Byzantine and bureaucratic as the NCAA. I'm with you. And I think that's probably where they're headed. That's probably where they're going. But there will be some fits and starts along the way. And this one, the December signing date is a great example. The December signing date in general is a great example of unintended consequences. When it was put into place, it was a good idea. Coaches were tired of babysitting recruits between December and February and having other schools try to poach those recruits. They were like, okay, the kids want to sign. A lot of them are going to enroll in January anyway, so let's just sign them now. It made perfect sense. Where it stopped making sense is when they changed the transfer rules, when the academic calendar required the transfer portal to be open in December so players could move between semesters. Like that's where it went awry, and it wasn't anybody's fault. One thing didn't necessarily correspond with the other in terms of who decides how this works. And then all of a sudden, there you go. David Garcia asks, who would college presidents trust to run the whole system? Nick Saban. That's the most common answer. But, Lane Kiffin suggested Greg Sankey, and I think Greg Sankey is kind of running it now in tandem with Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner. So we will see what happens, but I am guaranteeing that this could be I just guaranteed it could be. That's not very YouTuber of me. I got to be extreme here. I am guaranteeing this will be the wildest coaching carousel ever. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly leaving Oklahoma and Notre Dame for USC and LSU was pretty wild. But it does feel like the logistics of this one are going to be very inconvenient for schools that are changing coaches. So strap in. It's going to be wild. Thank you to Game Time for sponsoring us again this week. Game Time is your best ticketing app, the best way to get last-minute tickets, sporting events, comedy shows, concerts, you name it. The perfect time for Game Time is coming up right now. If you download the app, use the code Staples, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. So the NCAA tournament is coming up. And this is a situation where Game Time is absolutely ideal because you don't know where your team's going to play. Now, if you're a fan of a 1 seed, you got a pretty good idea what pod they're getting put in, where they're going to be that first weekend. But if you're a fan of a team that's going to be like a 6 seed or an 8 seed, you don't know where they're going. It could be Omaha. It could be anywhere. So if your team gets slotted somewhere, all you got to do is hop on Game Time. The tickets to that site's games are right there. You can look at exactly where you're going to be sitting on the app. It's brilliant. So download the Game Time app, use the code Staples, $20 off your first purchase. If you are following your team in the NCAA basketball tournament this year, obviously you will not find out until a week from Sunday where your team is going and where your team might be on the second weekend. You can secure all those tickets on Game Time as soon as you know. So download that Game Time app and redeem the code Staples for $20 off your first purchase. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.